Here is the second video of section 7.5. So what we're doing is we're still solving equations, but what we've got now is we've got equations that have multiple terms in it. So what I mean by that is we don't just have one term on each side where we can just cross multiply and solve. We've got more than one term. So what we have to do is either combine these into one term on each side, which would involve finding the least common multiple and then getting the same denominators and combining together. Or there's another trick that we can do here, and what this involves is finding the common denominator, the least common denominator, and just multiplying both sides by that. What this will do is this will get rid of all of the fractions in our problem, which is nice because this will go ahead and really simplify this problem into something that's easy to solve. So let's go ahead and look at this first one, part A. So we've got 5 over x plus 7 over 4 equals negative 9 over x. Now remember, when it says solve, our goal is the same. We want to get this down to x equals a number. We're isolating x. Next, we want to go ahead and figure out what our least common denominator is. In this case, you see we've got x, and we have 4, and then we have x over here. So this one's really simple. Our least common denominator is just 4 times x. Okay, we've got x, 4, and x. At this point, you should be pretty comfortable determining that 4x is our LCD. So what we do is we multiply both sides by 4x. So you see on the left-hand side, now this is where you have to make sure you distribute. You're not just multiplying 5 over x by 4x. This 4x is going to distribute to every term inside our parentheses. So what we get when we multiply 4x by 5 over x, these x's are going to cancel. We'll be left with 20. When we multiply 4x by 7 over 4, our 4's are going to cancel. We're going to be left with 7x. Now you see what that did. Each part of the LCD is going to cancel out with the denominator of the fraction. So x is canceled with the x, and then 4 canceled with the 4, and we're left with just the other part of our denominator times the numerator. On the right-hand side, just the x's cancel out. So you may have heard this before called fraction busting. When you have an equation with fractions, you take the LCDs, multiply both sides by that, and it gets rid of every single fraction in your equation. So when we go ahead and do that, like I said, the x's cancel, so we're left with 20. The 4's cancel over here, and we're left with 7x. We get that equal to negative 36. Now it's just a simple algebra problem. We subtract 20, so we're left with 7x equals negative 56. Divide by 7, and you get negative 8. X equals negative 8. Now, you want to go ahead and check in your original equation. So you get 5/8 plus 7 over 4. So you're going to get 5/8, so that's going to be 14 over 8. So you get 5 over negative 8 plus 7 over 8 or 14 over 8. So you're going to get 9 over 8. There you go. Works out to be the same. So you get 9/8 equals 9/8. Now let's look at B. What we've got here is, again, we've got 3 terms in our equation, so we can't just multiply. So we have to figure out what our LCD is. In this case, it's going to be x times x minus 5, because there's no denominator here, which means it's 1. X over 5 is one of our denominators, and x. So we just multiply them together. Now you're multiplying both sides by x times x over 5. You'll see on the left-hand side, there's no denominator here, so you're just going to multiply 1 by the LCD. The second term, the x minus 5, is going to cancel out. On the right-hand side, your x's are going to cancel out. So you're going to see x minus 5 minus 8x, because the x minus 5 is canceled, equals 3 over x minus 5. Again, fraction busting. You got rid of all the denominators. Now, just a straightforward algebra problem. You've got, this is going to be a quadratic now because you've got a term to the second power. So you write it in standard form, and you're going to get minus 1 minus 15. So now you get x equals 1 or x equals 15. Now if you go ahead and check those in your original, you're going to see that they both work. So if you substitute 1 or you substitute 15, you're going to get the same answer. So sometimes you can have multiple answers, and that's just fine. So if you get multiple answers, don't worry. It's just fine. No problem there. Okay? So this is pretty straightforward. All you need to remember that's different from the previous example is here you're not cross-multiplying. What you're doing here is multiplying both sides. If you only do one side, it's not going to work. Multiply both sides by the LCD. Now, what I want you to do for your problems right here is I'm going to have you do another 3 problems. You're going to do 4 through 6 right here at the end when the box pops up right now. Now remember, if you just type in random gibberish or I don't know for your answers, you're not going to get any credit for this. I'm making the videos shorter because I want you to have more time to go through these questions. So make sure you rewind and make sure you watch each step of those. You just saw 2 examples being run through. These are also the same examples that are in your book, so you can always go back and check those. So you're going to have just one question box pop up, and I want you to label them 4, 5, and 6 and write down x equals for each problem and tell me what your solution is for x.